Hi, this is Jenny Walterman, and I will be discussing different forms of hypermedia that can be used in the secondary classroom to help enhance and support content materials. And I will also take some time to provide some links within this presentation that you can click on and go to for examples of how you can use technology and apply it in your classroom. So hypermedia, what is it? The official definition is linking text, photos, sounds, videos, or other types of media together in a non-linear way. So tying together different types of experiential moments that help students tie pieces of information together through different modes of learning. And there's a video here in the presentation. I'm not going to click on it right now, but I will be attaching my presentation to this assignment link, and you can click on that to see more about hypermedia. It's a quick 2-minute video. A little bit more about hypermedia. This is the academic part of this presentation where I'm going to tell you about how hypermedia and involving that in your instructional content and learning activities can help benefit students. It's part of andragogy, which is helping adult learners or older learners be able to connect prior learning experience with the learning content. It also involves promoting self-direction, providing a meaning for the learning, giving them the why, how, and what. Hypermedia also helps students to be intrinsically motivated if it's used properly, and can help with problem solving. It does present problems for students that would have problems with nonlinear learning, that would maybe struggle with connecting things together and going back and forth between a video and maybe an image and a graphic if they have trouble transitioning their learning mode from one way to another. So just keep that in mind. One thing you can do in the classroom is to create avatars. Have your students create this as an introductory assignment, a fun get to know you type of activity. It gets them involved in technology right away. There's different applications that can be used depending on the type of technology you're using in your classroom. There's Androidify, Google Draw. You can even have students use their Bitmojis and then upload those for avatars. The Androidify is cool because it can be uploaded as a GIF and is more has a little bit of movement to it, which students think is fun. I think it'd be really neat to figure out how to use Boomerang and Snapchat or Instagram and have students be able to create that as their GIF avatar. Just a little bit of self-expression there and a way for them to self-direct how they want to identify themselves and how they would like other people to perceive them. And it can provide a lot of insight into your students right from the get-go, or create a little mystery and help you have questions to get to know them better. Hypermedia visualization. So when you are creating activities, assignments, and lessons that are going to utilize hypermedia, be mindful of the typography, screen design, and the media. How much you use of it, the spacing, is the page clear, is there an appropriate use of negative space, and does the student understand what's being asked of them? It's important not to use too many different types of fonts, too many different types of colors. Presentations, tools that you can use for hypermedia and that will help you with your visualization are Google Slides, Prezi. I really like Biteable, Powtoon, and Animoto because they are more engaging for the student. There's something visual they can watch. And also, when you build those using their templates, it will help you to be mindful of typography and screen design as you're designing your assignments in it or presentations. Up here in metacognitive load, if you click on this link in my presentation, it will take you to a video more about metacognitive load. I will tell you real quickly that if students have too much different types of media coming at them at the same time, they will not be able to process and retain the content that's being presented to them. So that's another reason to make sure that you're building something that's not only useful but usable for students in the learning mode. Another type of hypermedia is the utilization of 2D, 3D, and 360-degree videos. This variety in animation allows for in-depth exploration, and the engagement can support thinking, creativity, discovery. It provides relevancy, especially 360-degree videos, because then students can see and place themselves in a situation where they can pan their computer screen or their handheld device and be able to see what the camera is seeing in 360-degree area. And that's also true of the 3D, the relevancy aspect of it, to be able to help students to be able to be in a real life situation. So like an example of that would be if you took a virtual field trip and used 3D geolocationing through Google Earth, you could take them right to it and use the 3D imaging in order for students to see exactly what you're trying to teach them. Also, having students use these tools to create an assignment will provide for self-expression, a more in-depth virtual learning experience, and also it teaches them to problem solve. There's so much more that goes into building 2D and 3D artwork than I realized that it's just a huge undertaking, especially 3D art. It requires a lot of planning ahead and incremental thinking, which is great for brain development. There are also apps that you can use for developing assignments for students or presentations utilizing these different tools, and some of those are linked later in the assignment. But in my video presentation here, I'm not going to click on this, but there is a link. You can click it in my Google Slides that I will upload, that you can go to see a 360-degree video that someone else shared that I really appreciated. It was about the Blue Angels. So augmented and virtual reality, let's talk about that a little bit more in depth. This video link tells us about what AR and VR really are, and then how they can be used in the classroom. This is another hyperlink. And then digital storybooks. Here is a link to a digital storybook ideas from another teacher of lots of different ideas on how you can have students create digital books using content instructions. The pros and cons of AR and VR is that it really provides relevancy, and student learning is enhanced. I think virtual reality is super cool, but it's timely to build and costly and requires a lot of technology that not necessarily every school or student would have. And so for practical purposes, I would probably use augmented reality more readily than I would ever use virtual reality. I think there's a lot more progress that needs to be made in order for VR to be accessible in a classroom. So that's the pros and cons of AR and VR, and how I would use them. With the augmented reality, I would use it in probably my marketing classes, and I would use it in my law classes because I think we could superimpose different types of information on top of documents or pictures or maps in order for students to be able to relate to the content or whatever lesson I'm trying to teach more readily. 2D, 3D, and 360-degree videos. I probably would not create that many 360-degree videos, but I would probably find some that already exist online to share with my class. And I don't really have any cons for any of these tools. I think they're all really good. And my biggest thing is my lack of imagination when it comes to creating characters or creating 2D and 3D artwork. I would probably rely heavily on apps available that do a lot of that for me because I'm just really not an artist in any way, and I believe that that is definitely an art to be able to conceptualize something like that before it even exists. I definitely think that using hypermedia is valuable and has its place in the classroom. And I really think that after discussing all of this, you probably use hypermedia more than you thought you did. It was just, oh yeah, I do use that. But I think that it can be overwhelming to students if we get too much information into a slide or overwhelm the student with too many different types of interactive media happening one right after another without giving a brain break or a moment for digesting content. I already discussed avatars. I think it's a great idea. I don't really have any cons for this activity. When it was done in our classroom setting, my grad class this summer, it seemed to be everybody enjoyed it, and I think that that would be the case as well in the high school classroom. All right, so don't forget to go to my Google Slide link that will be attached and go through. There's examples and videos on just about every slide. There's a video here on this slide, and then Andragogy is a hyperlink that takes you to something else. An explanation, same thing with metacognitive load, that will take you to a video, and then 360-degree videos there, and then I have 3 links on this slide talking about augmented reality, virtual reality, and then the creation of digital storybooks. I've really enjoyed discussing all of this and figuring out how to use it in the classroom, and I hope it's been helpful to you as well.